Hey everybody, welcome back. So we just got done listening to some great music, so now we're going back to filmmaking, and we're going to show you guys one of the films called 1969 Killers, Freaks, and Radicals by, of course, Andrew Templeton, who was right here with us. But first, we're going to give you a quick trailer of what it looks like.
Things were changing in the 60s. They were changing, and they were changing fast.
Students' unrest continued in Ann Arbor.
We had the Michigan murders, the campus riots, Vietnam War protesters.
Abortion was illegal, pot was illegal. From sunrise to sunset, demonstrations, building seizures and takeovers.
It wasn't unheard of to have violence.
It was just chaos.
Women felt vulnerable and helpless.
Terrified of this killer.
Making sure when we go out, we go in groups and don't go by yourself anyplace.
There was a big conflict with the older generation. They said, we're looking among the freaks and radicals and hippie element for the killer.
There's the myth of the serial killer, and it's all about our fascination with monsters.
To our parents' generation, the ideal was clean-cut, tall, handsome, join fraternities, play football.
There's no way he'd be a serial killer.
We're here now with Andrew Templeton, the director, filmmaker behind 1969 Killers, Freaks, and Radicals. Your opportunities to check it out this weekend are today at noon right here at the Ore Dog Brewing Company. It will play after the Inner C, and then tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the Women's Federated Clubhouse. So this seems like a really interesting documentary for true crime fans, especially for fans of true Michigan crime. What were your inspirations for setting out to create this movie?
Well, it really just started, I moved to the Ann Arbor area, and I kind of came across books on the subject, the Michigan murders, which some people might be familiar with. And I was just fascinated that these crimes had happened at the same time as so much interesting, cultural history. Because there's, the women's movement, the civil rights movement, the war in Vietnam. There's a lot of political unrest and social change. And I was really just kind of shocked. I'd never heard of this before with how popular true crime is. So that was kind of the genesis, and I started researching it myself, and then the more I started to talk to people involved and do research, I felt like this was a story that needed to be told.
Yeah, so with your film the title being 1969, I'm assuming that your stuff is based in the late 1960s. So what was that, you mentioned you did some research, what was that research process like? Getting to talk to different people, maybe doing some research on the internet, reading books, things like that?
Yeah, it was a lot of different things. I mean, it was a lot of books, and I did a lot of background research at first just to try to understand the time period and criminals of that nature, and then a lot of strange cold calling people, which was successful or not sometimes, and then I did eventually do a Freedom of Information Act request, several, to the Michigan State Police to get documents related to the case, and I was able to obtain some which are prominent in the film. So I'd never really done a project of this scale before, but I found that I really liked the research and going to archives and going through those files, and that's part of what took so long to make it, but I tried to be thorough. So
I'm curious why you want to tell this story in 2025, a story of murders, of crimes that happened 50 plus years ago. What's the cultural significance and relevance today?
Well, I think what I found was that, in a lot of ways I thought the time period kind of reflected a lot of things going on now. Things are different, but there's a lot of things with student protests and women's rights and, kind of massive political divides in the country. A lot of that was, resonating pretty strongly. And so it was a mixture of that where I thought this was still relevant, and it's a way to kind of maybe view some of these issues through the lens of 50 years ago or 55 years ago now. But, you know, also just because I came across it, and a lot of the people involved, you know, are older, and, you know, some of them have since passed away. So I felt kind of a responsibility to get the story while I still could.
Now, I know you're telling this story at Fresh Coast Film Festival this weekend, but it is not the first time it's being aired. You've brought it to some other festivals before. It seems it's received a couple of accolades. What's the viewer reception been like of your film? And are you noticing any common takeaways when people watch it, or what do you hope that they do take away from it?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've been very pleased about is I feel like there's quite a few people have come up to me and said, even if they're not into true crime, they've liked it, because I think it tries to address some broader things. It definitely is a true crime story, but it's a history story, and there's humor in it, and there's music, and it's really trying to capture the time period. And I have gotten that feedback from people that they felt like it was a good mixture of genres. So, you know, I hope it's illuminating about the case if you're interested in it, but I hope people also get kind of a, you know, it's a history movie too, so.
I mean, true crime is something that I feel like is very popular nowadays. People learning what happened back then, maybe if you were around or if you weren't around, things like that. So I'm really interested to hear more about the process that you went through in order to make this production, who you talked to, things like that. Just get into a little bit more detail about it, especially since, you know, you're highlighting the late 1960s, you know? I mean, I don't know what happened in the 1960s. I was born in 2000, so I don't really know what's going on besides what I learned in school. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, guys. When we come back, we'll dive more into this film, so stay with us.